You're not alone. If you need someone to talk to today, please contact Crisis Services Canada by either calling them at 1-833-456-4566 all hours of the day, or you can text them at 45645 at 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. Eastern Time. Remember, you're not alone, and Crisis Services Canada is here to help. Good morning, Manitoba, and welcome into this edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba on ASTV Productions. I'm your host, Graeme Forsyth. Hopefully everyone is doing well on this Monday morning. I know that after I finish doing this show, I'll be off to the cabin for a week, so that'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, hopefully everyone around Manitoba is having a wonderful Monday morning. I know that it was really hot yesterday. I've been outside today. It's pretty muggy outside today. So if you're able to get out and enjoy that nice weather, go do so for sure. We're going to have a great show for you guys today. We got 3 guests joining today's edition of the show, starting off with Harry Siemens on the Farm Report. He's going to talk about some stuff that's been happening with agriculture here in Manitoba since the last time that we've talked. We're also going to be talking to Gordie Tumilson, the goalie coach for Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy. He's going to give us some updates of what's been happening with the academy. And we're also going to be having Bill Johnson on the show, Executive Director of Football Manitoba, to talk about what's been happening with football in Manitoba since the last time that we've talked. And we're going to finish off today's episode with a segment of Graeme's Opinion where I'm going to be recapping the second week of the CFL season, as well as recapping the Winnipeg Jets offseason. So without further ado, let's start off the show right with the intro of Rise and Shine Manitoba. And once the intro plays, you know what that means, folks. It's time to rise and shine here on ASTV Productions. Rise and Shine Manitoba is Harry Siemens on the Farm Report. We're just going to run the graphic here. The Farm Report, of course, presented by Wolf Enterprises. Harry Siemens joins me on this Monday morning. Harry, how are you doing on this fine Monday morning here in, wherever you're at right now in Manitoba?
I'm in Winkler, Manitoba, and I'm doing really good. And if I was any better, I couldn't stand it.
Yeah, and you had a chance to do something pretty neat on Friday, flying up in the sky. Just tell us about that experience.
I have a very good friend, Don Schellenberg. We grew up together in a church. We actually went to Bible school together, and 45 years ago, he bought a small Cessna, 2-seater, and he's been flying ever since. And so yesterday or Friday morning, I've been up with him 4 or 5 times, but he's a retired farmer and he flies right off of his yard. He's got a little landing strip and he picks me up in Winkler. It's 2 minutes from my house. I just drive in and he taxis up with his airplane. And so the key thing is that for 45 years he's been flying. Secondly, he's been using it as his crop scouter. He knows what to look for when you're flying and looking at crops. And so, we had a great time for 90 minutes. We flew from Winkler to Altona, and then we went north to Low Farm, back up to Morden. And just an observation as far as the crops are concerned, when you fly, at a whatever feet we were flying at, where you can, with your naked eye, see the crops from the top. That's when you can really tell, what isn't and what is. And so of course, he recognizes the crops and for what they are. So he would give me a play-by-play description. We have headphones just like we have here. And so at this point, yeah, we've had some pretty ugly stuff where when you look from the top, it looks really thin. You can see the ground. And then we flew a little bit further east, and then we saw some pretty good crops. But one particular crop is on my brother's farm, and he had started harvesting canola. And Don says, "Boy, that crop looks pretty good, that canola crop." So I phoned my brother and asked him, "What's it yielding?" Well, he says about 25 bushels an acre. That's not quite half of normal. So even though it looked pretty good from the sky, it was still only about half. And so in this case, and in all the crops, the prices are right. So if the farmer gets half, and because the prices have almost doubled from last summer, they still are going to do okay. But it's not the way they like to farm, obviously. But at the same time, the crops are coming off. As far as the harvest is concerned, I'm hearing some where they're surprised it's doing better. And then I hear those that are disappointed because it's not doing as good as they had even anticipated. So I met, his name is Zach Gross. He's from the Homewood Hutterite Colony, just going into Winnipeg last week. And he recognized me, and Zach says, I asked him, he said they were combining barley. And so they were doing the same thing. It was going about half of what they had anticipated. And so we've got the livestock cattle producers continue to be in a real drought situation, looking for feed all over the place. Government supports in transportation and making sure the insurance programs work. But now we've got a federal election coming up in the middle of this, and we have Brian Pallister, the Manitoba premier, who's resigned. So they have a leadership race going on. So all of that kind of will play into how the programs for farmers will work. And once again, when you see headlines that they're getting hundreds of millions of dollars, right now that's not necessarily the case. Some of that's going to take a long time to come, and we'll see how many cattle producers actually stay in business because of this year's drought. Yes, we've had some good rain, and we're looking for rain this coming week. But at the same time, as one cattle producer told me on Friday, he said, or Thursday, he said, Harry, yeah, it'll help extend the grazing period a little bit, but he says some of the pastures are so dry that he thinks that the grass has actually been killed, especially when you've had cattle on them. So whether they will let out one more time, who knows? So it's a difficult situation, but the grain guys and the special crop guys, you know what? At least they have a crop, and they'll be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, for sure. It's great that they're at least able to have a crop for some sort of stuff, right? But, just speaking about the harvest, just give us an update about what you've been seeing. You've spoken about it a bit in the show already, but speak about just the updates that you've seen from the harvest here in Manitoba.
It varies. It varies as much as people's ages from here to there. Wherever the rain fell, or they got different kind of cloud cover, whatever it may be, it varies so much. But if we go to the northwest part of Manitoba, we get into the rivers area, into Dauphin, into Minnedosa, and farmers are telling me that they're getting really good crops. In fact, they're a little careful how good they tell other people how they are, because we've got many areas that the crop is not good. We go into the Interlake, we go up to Arborg in that part, really poor. But here's what they tell me: the crops could have been a lot worse. If speaking about agronomic practices and the varieties of crops that the plant breeders have continued to build, into like drought tolerance and those kinds of things. Farmers are amazed that even with only 1 inch of rain throughout the growing season, that they've actually still produced a crop. So that part of it is good. But when I fly over where I live here in the Winkler area, it looks pretty dismal at places. The Red River, you know what? It's really low. A farmer from St. Jean, I may have shared this last week, but another person told me yesterday that at Emerson, it's just really not very wide. You can basically walk across if you pick your path. That's the Red River, and we here in the Pembina Triangle, we in part depend on that water. I flew over the Lake Minnewaska, which is the lake at Morden, which is a man-made lake years and years ago because they put in a dam. Well, that lake is so low that they keep talking, you know, 25, 30 weeks of real water left in that lake for the city of Morden and some of the surrounding areas. So, we really are coveting the rains that will come this week, and hopefully there'll be enough to replenish some of that. But I was at I flew from the top, and where the beach used to be and where the boat launch used to be, it's many, maybe a couple of 100 feet in, where there's just no water and there's no boat landing. They're still using the beach for swimming. They're keeping that in shape, but the people have to keep walking in further and further. So it's really an interesting situation. But as I say, if we get some of that rain they're forecasting for the next week or so, things will improve. But it's going to take a lot of rain to really replenish the subsoil moisture. I had a chance to visit with Jennifer Sabarin. She and her husband run Antera Agronomy at St. Jean, Manitoba. And she posted a picture several weeks ago at the end of July with a yardstick, a meter stick or a yardstick, and put it into the crack in one of the fields. And it went down 32 inches. That's 32 inches down into the ground, and boy, that means that there's no subsoil moisture, and so you get 1 inch of rain from the top, and it helps the current situation, but it doesn't replenish. You get the wind like we have, and we get the hot temperatures, it just evaporates quickly. But we're thankful for every drop of rain we get. But that's kind of and the other thing is, she was driving out to another field as we spoke, and she was checking out a farmer's field that had grasshopper infestation. I mean, grasshoppers, you may have a thin crop, so grasshoppers
Yeah.
come in and they can devour that crop like within a day, and it's gone. And because we've had 3 to 4 uh, years of relatively dry weather in Manitoba, the grasshopper population continues to build. And this year, she said she had received a lot of mentions about crickets. We have crickets also around. Well, she says crickets, they actually devour grasshopper eggs. The grasshopper overwinters eggs in the soil. The crickets come and they burrow into the soil and they actually eat the grasshopper eggs. So if you see lots of crickets, you've got lots of grasshoppers. So don't step on that cricket just yet, because we need to have them devour a few more eggs before you take that cricket to life. But those are the interesting things that continue to come up, and every time I interview somebody, I learn something, and it's always good. So Jennifer and her husband Burnell, they keep a real good handle on what is happening, and she said the same thing. In areas where there was rainfall, the crops looked better. As soon as you drove over a few miles, even a mile across the field, the rain didn't fall as much. It's looking a lot poorer. So the harvest, yes, we're in full swing. I came from Winnipeg on Saturday, and combines are going, and it's not taking very long because there isn't as much crop out there to take off. So we're in full swing as far as harvest is concerned. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, and hopefully we do get some more rain. I know we got a lot of rain last week for at least here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, for what we've gotten this year, comparing it to that. But yeah, hopefully things work themselves out in that regard, but we'll have to wait and see. Just speaking about the machines that are being used right now, you were retweeting some stuff on Twitter. I saw it on your Twitter account, either way, and it was these machines spraying something. Can you, on like the crops and stuff, can you dive into what those machines are and what exactly they do?
Well, right now, the only spraying that's really happening is where what they call, they top kill the crop. Once the crop is mature, then they spray a desiccant and to kill off the remaining growth, and that dries up the grain faster, and they can combine it quicker, because anytime the crop is ready and anytime you can take it off in a good time, that means that means that it's in your favor. So that's what they use those sprayers for at this time of year. And the other thing is, if we have crop in swath, farmers swath some of the fields, some of the straight combine. But if we get 3-4 days of rain, and then if the crop is on the ground, then it deteriorates the grade. Farmers get paid on the basis of weight, protein content in wheat, and grade. What is the color, or what is it looking like? Because and so a rain can very quickly downgrade a crop, and you may lose $1 or $2 a bushel when you take it to the destination where you're selling it. So that's why they take those sprayers, and they kind of top dress or top kill the crop, kill it off so that it's ready to harvest sooner than it would be just naturally.
Yeah, it's very interesting that there's stuff out there that is able to do that, which is for sure great. Just speaking about one more thing, Harry, before I let you go. Harry Siemens farming tip of the week on Siemens Says. What is it?
It's again a combination of maybe tips in the previous programs, but number one, the mental health of the cattle guys, and just to keep focused, to keep talking to each other, stay with it, because this we'll get through this too. Not everybody's going to continue farming, but my tip is stay with it. And the other part of that tip is be careful. These combines, these swathers, these tractors, these grain carts, the big trucks that you're seeing on the roads, they're trying to be careful just like you. But if you see a truck, you see a combine, a slow moving machine vehicle, slow down, take 15, 20 seconds, pull off the road, let the person pass, so that we don't get into any kind of finger pointing or accidents or even death.
Well, wise words as always from a man who knows so much about agriculture here in Manitoba and just in general. Harry Siemens on the Farm Report for this August 16th episode. Harry, thanks as always for taking the time out of your Monday morning for joining the show.
Very good. Thank you, and keep safe.
Yeah, for sure. You too, Harry. Take care.
And that was Harry Siemens on the Farm Report. And that episode was actually recorded earlier this morning. So you guys were watching a pre-recorded interview. And yeah, always nice to talk to Harry about what's going on with agriculture here in Manitoba. Coming up after the commercial break, we're going to be talking some hockey. Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy goalie coach Gordie Tumilson will be joining me after the break. Stick with us here on Rise and Shine Manitoba on AETi Productions. Welcome back to Rise and Shine Manitoba on AETi Productions. Of course, always nice to catch up with Harry Siemens. It's been a while since last week's episode was canceled due to us not having enough guests, but it was great to have Harry on the show today. And speaking of guests, we got another great one joining the show now. It's Gordie Tumilson, the goalie coach for Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy. Gordie, it's a bit loud where you are right now. What's that noise in the background?
Let me make an adjustment. That's the air conditioner, and it's working really hard. But I'll make a quick change on that. Hang on, don't go away.
Okay, for sure. It's understandable. Running that air conditioner pretty hard right now because it is pretty humid and hot outside. We'll wait for Gordie to, fix that. He's got it turned off now, and yeah, there you go. So yeah, thanks for joining me on this Monday morning, Gordie. Always a pleasure. How you doing?
I'm great, Graeme, and you. And again, I always feel for Harry and the farmers. The Pilot-Mound folks, of course, are big farmers, and the owners, and it's been a tough year. So all the best to them. Whatever they can get off that field and make a few bucks, that's a good thing.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You definitely want to see that for sure, right? Them succeed to the best of their abilities because, yeah, farming is what keeps the world rolling, for sure. No doubt about it. Without farmers, we'd be pretty lost. But, just moving away from that, let's talk about the updates with Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy. You were telling me that there was a player update, a goalie signing. Just talk about that signing of the goalie that you got signed.
Yeah, really excited. A young fellow from Ottawa has chosen to come to Pilot-Mound for lots of good reasons. His name is Kian Hodgins, and he's a grade 10 student. He'll be joining us when we open our camp open our program up on September the 6th in Pilot-Mound. That's Monday, the long weekend. And Kian is a big OHL prospect. They've already identified him as being somebody really important to the future of some team in the OHL, and we were fortunate enough to be able to land him just recently. So we're looking forward to Kian. We've got another fella coming from Chicago, Miles Gordon, and he'd signed earlier in the year, a second-year CSSHL goalie coming to Winnipeg from Chicago. And so we're that's for our boys, our male U17 team, and we're looking forward to having both of these guys take over. We lost our incumbent goalies from last year. Everybody's graduated, and off we go to two new guys, and hopefully they'll do the job for us.
Yeah, so exciting that you're going to be able to have a chance for yourself, especially to work with an OHL prospect and a goalie that has CSSHL experience prior to joining the academy. How excited are you to start working with these two fine young goaltenders?
Well, it's first of all, it's a pleasure. These guys are committed to being good goalies, and that always makes it a lot easier on me in terms of where their heads are at. They're trying really hard. There's nothing that's going to get in the way of them getting better. And they work hard in school and all those kinds of things. So, we've got a real dedicated pair there. In fact, all five goalies that we have coming to the program, all seven, the other five are there as well. We've got our under 18 girls team has Julie Ducharme coming back from Calgary. And we have a new girl coming from the East again. We're starting to make some inroads in the East. Kids are starting to find out about us a little bit more. And River Johnston is going to be a grade 12 student coming in. And so we're going to have two grade 12 girl goalies who are going to really give us a backbone for our hockey club. And so having River come in and be part of our organization as well. She's a highly touted player, and we certainly don't know how we got her, but she was looking for something different, and we certainly offer different. So there you go. Yeah. So our goaltending is starting to round up really nicely. And again, these kids are so dedicated. It's easy to work with them, and I think the one thing that I will say is that all 7 of them plus myself, we make a great an 8-man or 8-person team of goalies, and so we work really closely all together, and we meet weekly together. We beat up on each other together. We have fun together, and when they finish up with Pilot-Mound, they're way better than when they started, and they're feeling good about who they are when they go back to their normal teams.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be exciting to see that team of 8 this year roll out on the ice, Gordie, see if you lace up the skates and go out there on the pipes if needed. No, all jokes aside, it just speaks about you guys bringing players in like this, about just the way you guys market the program. And that's one thing I want to talk to you about also, is you said you got important marketing / recruitment / placement news. You talked about the placements already, but could you speak about the marketing and recruitment news that you got for us today?
Well, we've last year we sort of began a little bit of a relationship, not very much, with an organization called Elite Junior Prospects, and they're an organization out of New England, and we've moved forward with them in a big way this coming season, and it's both for placement of players and recruitment of players. They have a network in the United States that's second to none, and we've tapped into that, and they've tapped into us. We're one of the few Canadian organizations they have under their wing, and so together we're going to be able to really hit on whoever's available and wherever spots are open, back and forth for the Pilot-Mound program. And so with they're hugely connected to social media and to every one of the sort of social medias on all of the major television and radio networks in the States. And so our message of who we are and what we do and how we prepare players, which is special in North America, will get out to even more people. So we'll be able to find more players to come to Pilot-Mound from the States and place more players, both our male and female players, year in and year out based on this program. So we're really excited to have developed this relationship, and it looks like it's going to be a great one, and it certainly helps us recruit players to come to our place when they know that their sons and daughters are going to be promoted, hugely in the States, not just here, there, and everywhere. So that's a big. We have a second one, and it goes to a radio station in Fargo, and I'll go into that more in detail later on. But one of the major sports station in Fargo is going to be carrying. It has a weekly radio show that talks about amateur hockey and whatnot, and we've become part of that. So much like what we do here on ASTV in a much bigger way here, but we've extended ourselves into a market that we really haven't had much luck at, and that's the sort of North Dakota, Minnesota area, and so we're in South Dakota. So we're going to be, tapping those guys through. Being on air with those folks, et cetera, et cetera. So our marketing has extended itself, and so we're I guess we're going to be more well known to more people, and that can only do good things for the kids and certainly our program.
Yeah, for sure. And just a quick correction from me. I said that you talked about the placement news already, but I got that confused with player arrivals. My apologies for that. But let's talk about the photography headline that you were talking to me about. Just dive into what the specifics about that is.
Yeah, we're teaming up with a sponsor in Pilot to organize a photography seminar. A fellow from Game On Hockey Magazine, again one of our sponsors and one of the people that we rely on to get our message out here in Manitoba, has a number of photographers that they line up with, and so we've managed to land Carrie Lauder, who's a professional photographer. It does a lot of glossy magazine work, with Game On, and he's a Red River College instructor as well. He's coming out on August the 27th to put on a couple of hour seminar, I guess, on taking pictures indoors, in particular in arenas with different kinds of lighting and whatnot, so that we get the best kind of pictures back. We get the great shots now, on our TV stuff with you guys. And so we really, really have that figured out. You guys have come in and done a great job of figuring all that out. And it's even going to be better this year because we're doing some more work with Glenn and Theo and the group. But with our photography, we've had some issues. So filing and delivering good quality photos so that we get these things into the hands of the right people, scouts and coaches and mums and dads, has been an issue. So we've opened the door up to any photographer. They don't have to be part of our group. We just want people in the area to have the best possible opportunity to have pictures taken and get them to their clientele. So if you're a photographer in the Louise municipality or beyond, in the Winkler area, and even up as far as Brandon and Verdon and Melita, please don't hesitate to take a look and get in touch with me. I'm sort of the organizing guy, and you can find me my information on the Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy.com website.
Yeah, for sure. And just speaking about photography, always nice when you're able to show off the players in that way, right? So that's going to be a lot of fun to see the great pictures that'll be coming out of the academy this year. One more thing I want to talk about, or another thing I want to talk about, is just you guys put out a tweet, stating that you guys are currently seeking players for the season, saying that there's male U17 prep defense and as well as female prep forward/defense, which there are limited spots open. Just speak about if any of those spots have been filled at this point, or how many spots are left to be needed to be filled.
Yeah, I think we've got a couple spots on the U17 male team, and they're defenseman spots. So we're kind of searching that out. We seem to have enough forwards that are very competent and good skilled forwards, but we're looking for a couple of top end defensemen that want to get a lot of real good instruction. Well, this would be for any team. You're going to get a lot of good coaching, a lot of detail, a lot of skill development. And so we're looking for two players there, and probably 3 or 4 girls on our female under 18 team. That's been a bit of a struggle. Don't know why that is this year, other than the COVID thing. And COVID has really been hard on us because it's eliminated, for the most part, our American connection for this season. We just haven't had many people trusting that the COVID won't block them, again, like it did last year, from either going home or coming up or various things. So we need, we're looking for probably Canadian girls for the most part, and that's okay. We think we've got a lot of opportunity here for them. And again, get onto the Pilot-Mound Academy website, Hockey-Academy website.com, and we'll be able to help you out there. You can talk to Rod Collins, myself, or anybody that you can find a name and a phone number.
Yeah, for sure. Check out Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy's website for all of that information. One more question before I let you go, Gordie. Just going back to the marketing and recruitment and placement news. Just speaking about branching out to places in the States, places like Fargo and the other places. Just speak about how huge that truly is going to be for the academy. Just go into that more in depth.
Sure. Well, we're not a big place, and we don't have a big fancy name in terms of places like the Rink and OHA and those kinds of organizations in the CSSHL in particular. Our larger organizations, they have a lot more staff, they have a lot more presence. They're able to, well, in theory at least, they're able to kind of get their message out to a larger group, and they're maybe a little bit more well known and like franchised restaurants, they get, they use that to their advantage. People see that everywhere. They see the rink in a number of places, whereas we're where we are, and that's who we are. Now, so we have to work extra hard to identify places where we want to be recognized, and that's the sort of that Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota area. We want to be recognized throughout the rest of the states for sure, and certainly in we've got Western Canada figured out pretty much, and even Nunavut and the Northwest Territories. What we don't have is Eastern Canada real well yet. And again, the states are kind of a place where people are looking for options and where they can send their kids to get a really good hockey experience. And moreover, the hockey experience, we really work on the education side. And that's part of our message when we go to these folks, that we don't let up on the education. It takes precedent. And then we go to hockey as a secondary thing, then fitness and nutrition and all that stuff. But we need to get our message out, and so we work really hard. And before we stop this, ASTV, we continue to grow with you guys and do way more than we had when we started, and we're going to continue to do even more of that, I understand. So it's a win-win for us to be on your show, and tomorrow I'm on with Theo, and then we got some hockey games coming up, so that'll be really neat.
Well, we're happy to help out, Gordie. It's a great program, and we're all here for it at ASTV Productions to continue helping you guys grow this program. And I think like interviews like this, having you on the show, you're going to be on Theo's show tomorrow. That's awesome. It just furthers that point that we want to help you guys out, which is our pleasure. So thanks for joining me on this Monday morning. You take care, have a good one, and we'll talk soon for sure. Gordie Tumilson, goalie coach for Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, joined me on today's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba.
See you at the rink.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see you there, Gordie. Gordie Tumilson, of course, the goalie coach of Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, joined the show. Always great to get to talk to Gordie about the academy and the things that are going on. And we'll probably be speaking to him in the next 2 weeks for sure. So we're going to go to our second commercial break in today's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba. After the break on Rise and Shine Manitoba, I'll be back with the next guest in today's show, Executive Director of Football Manitoba, Bill Johnson, here on ASTV Productions. Stick with me.
Why go solar? It's not just for the environment.
Why go solar? Solar is better than ever. Our revolutionary design and inverter equipment with the latest in solar panel technology for the ultimate in-home and business security. That's right, I said security. Grid security and security of your home are linked. Fortify your future today with a battery backup system. No maintenance, quiet running. Did you know in Manitoba, grid-connected, off-grid, and battery backup systems are 100% right off in the year you purchase for any company or farm? Do you want to back up your internet, keep your tills running, and the lights on? We can install a system that is right for you with battery backup fully capable of taking on all those essential loads and keeping you running. When you call our experts at Evolve Green, ask about getting your free energy audit today. Call or email today to find out what system works best for you. 1-866-5EVOLVE or support@evolvegreen.ca. Also, be sure to check out our website at www.evolvegreen.ca.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Manitoba on ASTV Productions. Of course, we are live on this Monday morning, as always, on our Facebook at ASTV Productions, on our website at astvproductions.com, as well as on our Twitter at Amateur Sports TV, wherever you guys are watching on this Monday morning. I want to thank you once again for tuning into the show. Of course, goalie coach of Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, Gordie Tumilson, joined me on today's edition of the show to just give us an update with what's been happening with the academy. And now we're going to move over to the gridiron. We're going to talk some football with Football Manitoba Executive Director Bill Johnson. Bill, thanks for taking the time, as always, on your Monday morning and joining Rise and Shine Manitoba. How's things going for you on this Monday morning?
Oh, it's going well. It's a busy time for football, and that's exciting.
Yeah, for sure. It is exciting to see some registration opening up. Of course, Manitoba minor football registration opened up about 4 or 5 days ago now. Registration also open for the MMJFL. How nice is it to finally get that ball rolling and get the registration open for those leagues and just for those, those leagues, yeah.
It's fantastic to be one step closer to having tackle football back in the province. It's been a long time. It's been a year and a half now since we've had an amateur game here, so really looking forward to getting the kids back on the field.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of kids on the field, of course, flag football playoffs are set to start this week. What's the excitement like around the, I guess, the teams, the league of getting these playoffs rolling finally?
It's been it's been a crazy year with COVID and everything else. This is our spring football league. It usually wraps up last week of June, and here we are well into August, rapidly approaching September, and we're finally getting the playoffs going. So I think people are ready to go. We've had games delayed because of COVID, games delayed because of smoke and air quality issues, and it's just been a really difficult year for everyone, but it's been a great year for football. We've had the most kids we've had playing in years out there. So we had 1,600 registrations prior to COVID, and then we only lost about 250. So we're over 1,300 kids playing flag football right now. So it's a really cool thing. And I know everyone, I know my 2 kids in my household are excited about the playoffs coming up this week, and everyone's gearing up.
Yeah, awesome to see, of course. We always seem to talk about flag football when we have you on the show because it's just such a great game. And I know if I was one of those kids getting set for playoffs, I'd be pretty hyped up and stoked myself. Just talking about the restrictions, how they've changed things for you guys since they've been updated the last time.
Yeah, so the biggest thing that changed for us is when they changed the group size, because at 50 people for sport, which was where we were in the last set of public health orders, it was impossible for us to run football. 12 aside, even 9 aside would be difficult. Even at 6 aside, 50 people at a field, it's difficult to make it work because of the number of subs you need and everything else for a tackle football team. So now that they've changed that to an unlimited group size, and we have all kinds of other guidelines in place to help our member clubs and leagues with a safe return to play, I think we're in a very good spot to finally get the kids back on the field.
Yeah, for sure. It seems like things are looking up. Fingers crossed that sports can continue running and operating like they are at this point, and hopefully we're able to continue seeing that consistency in that regard. But just talking about a study that's going to be run. You guys posted it on your Twitter. Richard Sylvester, he's running a study on how to help female athletes bounce across the ground better when they run. Can you just dive into what the details are about that study and how people can get involved?
Yeah, I had a conversation with Richard about it. I don't have a lot of the details in terms of what's involved in the actual study. I know he's doing it for his, I believe it's for his master's degree program, but it's we just thought it was a great way to help out female athletes participating in football. It's our largest growing segment of our football population right now. So we figured if we could find a way to help out and avoid some of those common knee injuries, things like that seem to, for whatever reason, they occur a little bit more frequently in female athletes. So we're trying to find ways to help them with that. So when Richard approached us with this study, we thought it would be a great opportunity to help some of our young female athletes out. So we put that out there to our membership and try to get them connected with Richard and his team.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So important to get more coverage, just more more recognition on the female game for sure. And a study like this is going to be cool to see. Could you just speak about how you've seen the female game of football grow here in Manitoba throughout the last few years, or just the past decade, just most recently, I guess?
For sure. Well, we have the MGFA here, the Manitoba Girls Football Association, which is I believe it's the largest girls tackle football league in Canada, and it's a really cool thing that some people, some local people here in Manitoba, worked very, very hard to make sure that it's successful and off the ground. They run it as a spring league, and obviously the last 2 years it hasn't happened. So this year they're actually looking at alternatives in terms of maybe just having some training camps and then a couple games this fall, something like that, just to get these girls active again, and introduce new girls to the game, because we've lost 2 years of freshman classes, if you would, for this particular league. So that's a bit of a problem for them. And then we have the Fearless and the Wolfpack, of course, that compete in the WWCFL at the highest level of women playing tackle football. And we're really lucky in this province that we have more female participation than others do, and it's based on the hard work on the backs of a few people putting in a lot of very hard work to make sure that there's an opportunity for these young women to participate in football, which is always viewed traditionally as a male sport, but it's not. It's a sport for everyone, and there's opportunities for all.
Yeah, and it's great that we're finally getting to see just more and more eyes on the sport of female football here in Manitoba, which is great. Just moving into one more thing, the Hall of Fame donations that you guys are doing this year for the Hall of Fame. Just the goal is to raise $5,000. Just speak about how you guys are planning to fundraise this year compared to other years.
Yeah, it's been a very difficult go for our Hall of Fame. So we have a dinner traditionally every other year to honor that class's induction, and of course that was supposed to happen last fall, and it was all postponed because of COVID. And then we thought we would maybe move it to this fall, but it's a dinner with between 300 and 500 people in a room, and we're just not confident that's going to happen anytime soon. So instead, we've decided that we're going to do a virtual induction and then follow it up at some point in 2022 when hopefully we have a better handle on the COVID situation and we're allowed to have large groups of people, then we can honor those people in person. So because of the virtual nature of the event, we don't sell tickets to it, where it's going to be free for all to view and things like that. But it creates a cost issue for us, because we're paying for all of these things, and we actually just recorded the whole event over the past weekend. It's all being edited and being primed for viewing right now, but there's of course costs involved in that, and we don't have any sort of source of revenue to cover that. So that's where this fundraising came from, and our committee put that together to try and cover some of the costs around doing this virtually and honoring these more than well-deserving inductees.
Yeah, that's great that you guys have found alternatives to do it. How much money has been raised at this point?
To this point, I think we're just under $1,000. So we're still quite a ways away from our goal. So hopefully we'll have a few more people step up and help out with it. And it's going to be a fantastic event. It's a really cool class. We have a lot of local football people being honored. I think of Laura Shea, whose long-term involvement with the MMJFL and with the St. James Rods. Al Leach, who's been involved with the Eastside Eagles program for decades and done a lot for that. And then we have some higher profile athletes on the pro circuit. Wade Miller is being honored for his contributions to football as a player, and Chris Walby as well, who of course is a local Winnipeg guy and has had a great career. I grew up watching him play and his Grey Cup winning Bomber teams back in the day. So it was, and then of course there's several others as well. But it's a really good class, and I think they deserve the honors. And hopefully very soon we can actually get together in person and pay our respects to them face to face.
Yeah, for sure. It's gonna be great to see that whole virtual induction roll out. When exactly is the Hall of Fame ceremony going to be displayed for? I guess in terms of being aired.
We'll be announcing the exact date over our social media soon. We're looking at an early fall date. It depends on how the editing goes and things. There's still a couple more interviews we have to to inductions, we have to get recorded and things like that. So the exact date isn't known yet, but we'll have that very, very soon. And it'll be, like I said, it'll be early fall, and you'll see that on our social media. And it's something that we encourage people to view as it's aired live on YouTube initially. However, it'll be available, of course, in perpetuity. So it's kind of a cool thing that people can watch this going forward. Inductees can share this with their children and grandchildren in years to come, and it'll be captured forever.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. It's going to be fun to see what type of product it's going to come out as, with the editing and stuff like that, the interviews that are going to be added in. And yeah, we'll be sure to have you on the show again soon to talk more about football, Bill. Of course, when the Hall of Fame video is going to be rolling out, we'll talk about that later on in the year. But as always, thanks for taking the time out of your Monday morning and joining me on Rise and Shine Manitoba. You have a good one.
Thank you. You as well.
Yeah, for sure, Bill. Thanks. Bill Johnson, the Executive Director of Football Manitoba, joined me on this edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba. I'll be back after the break for another edition, for a new edition of Graeme's Opinion. Stick with me. You're not going to want to miss it here on Rise and Shine Manitoba on ASTV Productions.
I think Systems Beauty College is a little bit unique in respect to the way we teach our program. We don't do so much structure and learning and block teaching. Everybody can move along at the pace that suits them. Everybody can move along at the pace that suits them. If they can move faster, they do so. Therefore, learning everything earlier and getting more practice in all segments of hairstyling, as opposed to just being stuck in one section for a certain period of time. I think Systems Beauty College is a little bit unique in respect to the way we teach our program. We don't do so much structure and learning and block teaching. Everybody can move along at the pace that suits them. Everybody can move along at the pace that suits them. If they can move faster, they do so. Therefore, learning everything earlier and getting more practice in all segments of hairstyling, as opposed to just being stuck in one section for a certain period of time. So we try to accommodate all the different learning styles.
Welcome back to Rise and Shine Manitoba on ASTV Productions. Of course, Bill Johnson, Executive Director of Football Manitoba, joined me on the show before we went to our most recent commercial break. And yeah, always nice to talk football with Bill and what's been going on with football here in Manitoba. And we're going to now move into the final part of today's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba. As always, like we always finish off our shows, we're going to be doing a segment of Graeme's Opinion. And in this week's edition of Graeme's Opinion, we're going to be talking some football as well as some NHL, starting off with the CFL, the Canadian Football League, just finished their second week of their 14-game regular season. Of course, teams will be playing 14 games this year, a shorter season, but just great to have the CFL back. And yeah, there were some great games this week and on the weekend. Just starting off with the Bombers. Wasn't the first game this week, but it was, I think it's good to start off with this one, just with me being a Winnipeg Blue Bombers fan. Man, we've looked fantastic so far. The defenses just look really good in the first two games of this year. They forced a key turnover with a fumble recovery that really changed the course of the game. Toronto was kind of pressing a bit after scoring a touchdown, John White scoring their touchdown. And yeah, just that turnover kind of changed the complexion of the game moving forward. Throughout the game, we played pretty consistent. And we limited the Argos passing game. Look, even though we gave up 111 yards to running back John White, 123 yards in total, we didn't really give them much on in the passing game. And yeah, Arbuckle and McLeod Bethel Thompson, or yeah, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but McLeod Bethel Thompson. That's how you pronounce it. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Mine's all over the place right now. But anyways, we were forcing them to make pretty darn near perfect throws at points, even though there was some blown coverages and they had receivers getting open. Their quarterbacks weren't able to hit against us. But overall, our defense looked very solid. I don't know if it was the right side or the left side. It was looking a bit, not weak at times, but we were giving up a lot more on it would be the left side. So yeah, we were giving up, some first downs on that side, but overall, defense looked really good. Zach Caleros looked excellent once again, even better than in week one, even though he had an interception in this game. 32 for 40, 292 yards, 2 TDs, and 1 interception. He was throwing some beautiful deep balls. Great movement in the pocket. He's just unreal magician in the pocket out there. He made some unreal plays with his feet out there and just throwing on the run and, highly efficient as well. And even though our running game wasn't the same as it was in week one, just overall, this offense still finding their footing a bit, just staying more consistent. We played really good turnover free football. Not turnover free, but didn't take many penalties at all compared to Toronto, and that was huge. Our possession was there. Nick Dembski was excellent as well, and all around a huge win for the defending Grey Cup champion Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And this is the team to beat right now with that defending champion title coming into the season, looking strong, only giving up 13 points in 2 games so far, which is excellent. Let's move on to the BC Lions and Calgary Stampeders game. Riley ended up starting in this game, even though there were questions about if he would start with that injury. I know that it's been hell for bettors so far. I'm not a betting man, so it hasn't really affected me, but with just him starting it, it's really affected the way people have been able to bet. But yeah, he looked very strong. His arm was back, it seemed like, to a pretty high level. He looked very good in the pocket. And he put up great numbers. Bo Levi Mitchell ended up throwing 4 interceptions for the first time in his career. He was forcing balls. And that's really what this game came down to. It was just, Calgary not being able to take advantage of their offensive possessions. Bo Levi was really struggling, was forcing balls in there. And you got to credit this BC defense for being able to put out a game plan like that against Bo. And, you really got to question, will these struggles continue for Bo? I don't think so. I think that he'll end up finding his game at some point in the season in the upcoming weeks. He has to if this team is going to be successful, of course. And yeah, just in terms of the BC Lions, that offense was making some really good plays. Lucky Whitehead is an absolute stud at receiver. Of course, they got a guy like Brian Burnham as well. But, with Mike Riley in there, you can never count this team out of potentially being a contender with just what he's been able to do in the season. Whether or not they'll continue to have the success that they had against a team like Calgary is going to be a big question moving forward. Can they stay consistent? Can Mike Riley stay healthy? All those things I think are going to be interesting storylines to see. Looking at the Owls, they start their season off strong with a 30-13 win over the Edmonton Elks. And man, this Alouettes team looking very strong off the start. I didn't get to watch this game really, but just Vernon Adams, a guy that has a chance to be one of the best QBs in this game, one of the most dynamic, if not the most dynamic QB in this league. The O-line looked really good. Stanback was excellent. Or not excellent, but pretty good in this game. And yeah, the Edmonton Elks just can't seem to get it going on the offensive side of the ball right now. You know, Sewell really laid it down and said if you hit, you just gotta hit Trevor Harris once, and then he kind of folds, and that's kind of exactly what happened. But just I think that the line needs to be way better for Edmonton, giving them time. And TSN was talking about it, the panel after that game, maybe look to give a guy like James Wilder more carries. He's one of the top backs in the league. That could definitely be something they're looking to do. But overall, this Edmonton Elks team, a team that has receivers like Jarrell Walker and Greg Ellingson, who are some of the top receivers in the league, they really haven't been able to get it going with that firepower. Trevor Harris, his stats aren't bad, but they're not great for what type of quarterback he's supposed to be. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Edmonton can get out of this slump that they're in right now, because they're off to a brutal start in their season. And speaking of a team that's off to a brutal start as well, is the preseason Grey Cup favorites, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, dropping their game to the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Saskatchewan dominating them 30-8, starting 2-0 in their season. And man, Saskatchewan looks really good in all phases of the ball game. They, on the defensive side of things, they looked excellent, and on the offensive side of things, reigning MOP Cody Fajardo's been doing his thing this season. They're able to run the ball. They're just able to do so many things with the type of offense that they have. And just looking at the Hamilton Tiger Cats, you got to question if this team is in preseason mode or not right now, or are they just not the same after that Grey Cup that they had? I still think Hamilton's going to be a very good team, and I think that they still have a chance if they find their footing to be the top team in the East. But overall, right now, they're not getting that consistency at the quarterback position. Even when Dane Evans came in, he looked pretty awful. And just looking at their receivers, they're not able to create separation right now. And really, this offense that's supposed to be so dynamic has been pretty abysmal so far. So they're going into a bye week. I expect them to come out ready to play in their week 4 matchup. I think that they should still roll with Mazzoli. I think that even though Dane Evans did an amazing job last year of taking over and leading that team to the Grey Cup at QB, I think that Mazzoli has to be the guy. I just feel like he gives you more. But, it's going to be interesting to see what Hamilton decides to do. Of course, it's going to be another phenomenal week in the CFL coming up. Can't wait to see the scores of what happens, because unfortunately I won't be able to watch any games this weekend coming up, because I'll be at the cabin for holidays. We have no TV reception. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to be happening in the league coming up this week. Let's move into some hockey talk now. The Winnipeg Jets, the offseason that they've been able to have, starting off with their trades, trading for a guy like Nate Schmidt. They also acquired Brendan Dillon in a trade. They acquired Schmidt for a 2022 third round pick. I believe that's what it was. But yeah, they ended up giving a pick for him. He's got 4 years left, making $5.9 million a year on his contract. A bit concerning at first, from what I heard. Actually, no, I'm not going to say that, because I got to check my source again. I don't want to give you guys a false source in terms of what I heard about it. But just looking at him, he's a good skater. He can block shots. He's a defenseman that can give you 20 minutes. Play 20 minutes or over 20 minutes in a game, and can play power play as well. I don't know if he's going to be used on the power play on this team, but definitely a good option to have if we have some injuries in the lineup, or if the Jets do. I'm a big Winnipeg Jets fan, as you guys might know. But yeah, he usually has a good turnover to giveaway ratio and a good underlying stats. So talking about analytics, but he struggled in Vancouver last season. It's going to be interesting to see how he bounces back this year. It could have been just the situation Vancouver was in last year, just a team that did not have much success at all last season, but his track record is very good. He's a guy that's going to be able to come in and help this decor. And yeah, Very excited about that move. Hopefully he's worth that $5.9 million for at least 3 out of the 4 years that he's left here. Would like it for the 4 years, but yeah, it's great to see that we were able to make a move for him, and then acquiring Brendan Dillon for 2 second-round picks. He's got 3 years left on his contract, making $3.9 million a year. A huge body at 6'4", 225 pounds. He's going to bring a physical presence to our blue line and has familiarity playing with the mellow in the past. He's good defensively as well as a defensive defenseman from what I've seen. A guy that can lay some pretty big hits, and yeah, he had some sauce to our decor. Let's move into the signings that we had. Didn't have the Svechnikov signing listed here, forgot to put that in, but we ended up signing Riley Nash for a 1-year deal worth $750K. We re-signed Neil Pionk, which is massive, to 4 years, $4.85 million. I thought, in a perfect situation, he could have been making more than Josh Morrissey, but at the same time, I'm thinking with the cap situation that we're in, he was going to take less. And getting Neil Pionk at this deal is absolutely awesome. I love it. He's been our best defenseman for this past season. And yeah, just a guy that can play a great 200-foot game, good offensively and defensively as well. And then we re-signed Kopp to a 1-year deal, $3.85 million a year, which is great having him here. Weren't able to sign him long-term just in terms of our cap situation. He probably is going to be asking for more if he's able to have another season like he did last season. And yeah, we also re-signed Logan Stanley to 2 years for $900,000 per year in those 2 years. Who did we end up losing? We ended up losing Appleton, of course, in the expansion draft to Seattle. Lost Perreault and Brossois. Perreault ended up signing for a 1-year, $900,000 deal with the Montreal Canadiens. And then Lauren Brossois ends up signing with the Las Vegas Golden Knights for $2.3 million a season. So, how has this offseason gone for the Winnipeg Jets? Well, starting off with our D-core, we significantly improved our defense. Like I said about Dillon and Schmidt, those are 2 guys that I'm happy to have. Adding guys like this, a guy like Dillon who had size, and a guy like Schmidt who is going to add skill to this D-core, probably is going to help out with our transition game, I believe, if he's able to get back to what the type of defenseman he was in his Washington and Vegas years, more so the Vegas years. But yeah, both guys are also proven that they can be top 4 defensemen on a team playing in those big minute roles. Feeling like Stanley will probably get a spot on that third pairing as well, even though I'd personally like to see Hanola, and I don't know if it's going to happen, sadly, but we'll see. Nothing but respect for Paul Stastny. Finally, respect to Logan Stanley, just for being able to finally show that he can play some NHL minutes last season. Great to see his development coming along a long way from where it's been, right? And overall our D-core is significantly improved up front. We ended up losing Appleton and Perreault, which is tough for depth, but re-signing Kopp is a nice keep for us, or for the Jets. Losing them should also give a guy like Vesalainen a chance to get minutes, which I think is going to be needed. He has a rocket of a shot. I'd like to see the Jets utilize him like that. Utilize him in the best way possible this year to get the most out of him and that shot, and just his game in general. Could see a guy like Jansen Harkins getting in the lineup. Of course, Svechnikov and Nash will probably get in the lineup as well. I'd love to see a guy like Cole Perfetti get in the lineup. Just look at what a young guy like Cole Caulfield was able to do for the Montreal Canadiens when they inserted him into their lineup. Not comparing them as players, but just comparing the youth. Just putting that injection into the lineup could be huge for the Jets, but we'll see. It seems like Pomo likes to roll with his vets a lot. I think it depends on the camp that Perfetti has, and how he looks in the preseason for sure. But in my opinion, he could bring something special to this lineup if you give him a shot. And I think that's all players need some time, is just one shot to come in and prove that they can play in against NHL competition. And even if he doesn't get in this season, it will be disappointing, but it could be nice as well for him to soak another year in the AHL. But we'll have to see what happens with that for sure. And then, losing Brossoit is kind of tough. He's a world-class backup goaltender, but I was speaking to my Uncle Mark, and my Uncle Mark was telling me, and I totally agree with him. Backup goaltenders, they come and go. You can easily replace a backup goaltender, even though Brossoit was really good. There could be a guy like, I'd like to see Badin up maybe, or Bedin, however you pronounce his name, or he could be, maybe he could step up and finally prove that he could play in the NHL. A guy like Eric Comrie, I'm not too sure. I haven't really been able to watch them much, to be honest, but a backup goaltender. The bottom line is they can be replaced. Don't get me wrong, Brossoit is a great backup, but we have a top 3 goaltender in Connor Hellebuyck. Just hoping that whatever backup we roll with, we're able to give what's the word? Hoping he's able to be a serviceable backup, whoever it is behind Hellebuyck, but not worried about our goaltending. With a top 3 goaltender like Hellebuyck, anytime you have that, you're going to be competitive. And just looking at it coming into this season, before the offseason, we already knew we had a world-class goaltender. We already knew we had weapons with a guy like Mark Scheifele, Nikolai Ehlers, Kyle Connor up front. The biggest question I think was just, could we improve this defense? And we significantly have, adding 2 guys that have proven that they can play big minutes, playing in the top 4 of a team's decor. And overall, signing Neil Pionk was absolutely fantastic for the price that we got him at. And being able to re-sign Kopp was nice too. Jets look like they're going all in this season. It's going to be fun to see. I could see this team very well getting a top 3 spot in the Central Division if we're able to come out and show up and show out every single night. In my opinion, this was a great offseason for the Jets. We addressed the needs that we needed to. And I'm excited for this upcoming season for the Winnipeg Jets. And hopefully, fingers crossed, this is our year to finally do something in the playoffs. So that's going to do it for this edition of Graham's Opinion on Rise and Shine Manitoba on ASTV Productions. Special thanks to everyone that tuned into today's edition of the show. Of course, I want to thank the guests in today's episode, and Harry Siemens, who joined me way before we started today's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba early in the AM. Special thanks to him for coming on, as well as Gordie Tumilson, goalie coach of Pilot-Mound Hockey-Academy, as well as Bill Johnson, Executive Director of Football Manitoba. Of course, special thanks to you again, the viewer, for tuning into today's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba, and a special thanks to our sponsors of today's edition of Rise and Shine Manitoba as well. I'll be back on the network for Rise and Shine Manitoba next Monday for an all-new edition of that show. Of course, we will be live, as always, on our Facebook at ASTV Productions, on our Twitter at Amateur Sports TV, and you can also check it out on our website as well at astvproductions.com. But until next Monday, folks, I've been your host, Graeme Forsyth of Rise and Shine Manitoba, signing off now. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Stay safe out there. It is hot out, so enjoy that nice weather, but also stay cool as well, because you don't want to get heat stroke. That would be very unfortunate. And have a wonderful weekend. Once the weekend rolls around, have a wonderful weekend as well. I'll see you guys next Monday. Peace out.